Hi, this is Joe Speaks Truth. Just 3 years ago, New York City was placed under the harshest lockdowns out of the whole country. While things seem that they're going back to normal, I want to invite you all to listen to the untold stories of the many New Yorkers that had to survive lockdowns and vaccine mandates. Hello everyone, this is Joe Speaks Truth, and today with me I have Patricia, who is a retired New Yorker and who is also vaccinated. How are you doing today, Patricia?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I felt the need to have you here today because of everything that has been happening for the past few years in New York with the mask and vaccine mandates, and because I feel like we need to have an open discussion. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, how was your life prior to 2020?
My life prior to 2020 was that of a semi-retired person because I was still working like just a few days. And then once regular services on the train, you could run out and go to any restaurant you want and have lunch. But once 2020 came and the shutdown came in, more or less, I just said, you know what, that's about it. I saw what was happening also with the NYPD, and the numbers dropped. I think it was about 25% in 2020 that the force had left. And I said, it's going to be a bad situation. It was going to be I'm older. It was going to be a little dangerous for me. So I decided, let's just retire fully. But then when they did the actual lockdown, and they said it was only going to be for 14 days, and then it was way more than 14 days. Mm-hmm. Life was never the same here in New York, quite not the same at all.
Right. But let me ask you, when they said, since you mentioned yourself about the 2 weeks to slow down the spread, and when they announced, like, hey, there's a global pandemic, the situation can be serious. We're not sure on what to do and whatnot. What were you thinking? Do you actually believe them?
I wasn't sure what to believe. I really wasn't. But silly, to err on the side of caution, I made the greatest mistake, and I took the shots. Mm-hmm. That was, I thought I was doing right at the time. And it only took me a very short time, like maybe 3 months, 4 months, to find out that there was other things that were involved. It wasn't tested long enough and correctly. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so let's just hope and pray that everything will work out all right. And that was back then, still in 2020. Mm-hmm. But I knew I made a big error. Mm-hmm. I made a mistake.
And you also are conservative leaning, right? And this discussion is not a political discussion. The reason why I'm saying that is because the whole pandemic situation was politicized, that they said that the people that didn't want to get the vaccine or the people that were protesting against the vaccines were white supremacist, Trump, MAGA supporters. And you are a conservative and you took the vaccine. And you did it because at that time, I'm assuming you thought it was reliable and you thought that the health officials were telling the truth, correct?
Correct. I thought they had thought this all out. Why would they put out a vaccine that wasn't fully tested? And I really didn't know that it wasn't a fully tested thing. And then later on, I started to really pay attention to the news reports. And then they says, well, it's an experimental vaccine. I'm like, experimental? I said, oh my God, I took something that wasn't fully tested. And, as an oldster, I happen to know, usually you kind of wait around 5 years for a new product to come onto the market. And especially if it's a medical product, you wait at least 5 years and then you say, okay, well then let's look at the studies and you have something to look at, some information. But I just got caught up in the pandemic scare, fear, porn. And I took it, so did my husband. Mm-hmm. And we were, now we're that much smarter.
Did any of you guys experience any side effects and the other people in your family take the vaccine?
Other people in the family did take the vaccine. And then I have family members who did not. My niece was prior to that even. I don't think any of her children actually had vaccines. but she lived in Pennsylvania. Then Pennsylvania started coming down with their mandates. She took her son out of school. He was high school, football. She said, sorry. He said, no, get me out of here. So you have a 15-year-old saying, I don't want to do this either. He says, we're hearing bad stories, Mom. I don't want, she goes, no problem. They uprooted, they moved to Georgia. And Georgia said, don't worry, you don't need, you can put your kid back in school. Kids belong in school, and you want a sport, here you go, no problem. So, I mean, it's there. And then she decided, I think he was going to lose a lot of credits. So she said, you know what, let me just homeschool. So she homeschooled. They graduated, no problem. And that worked out. This whole thing, like you said, though, I want to say that, you said that it's really not political. And it's not. I mean, because across the board, Republicans took it, liberals, they took it, or Democrats took it, because we thought that they had our best interests at heart. And apparently, with all the reports coming out from Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone, McCrae, there's a whole slew of them. We find out different. And
Right.
it is not political. And to mandate something like that is a bit too intrusive to me, because it's a personal choice. It's a medical choice. It's, no one's asked me, hey, have you had whatever done? And, it's nobody would even ask you. It's a personal, I'm not, So then to mandate a whole citizenry of New York City to, okay, you either take this shot or you lose your job, or they put it fancy, they don't say it right out. They kind of like smooth the words, but still, you take the shot, or guess what? You were out of a gig. It was terrible.
Right. And this is one of the reasons why I have you here, to show people that not everyone that is vaccinated was against the unvaccinated, right? Because the thing is, what has happened is that the media did such a good job dividing people: first mask and no mask, and then vaccine, no vaccine,
Correct.
right? Now, as a vaccinated person, you can admit that you saw online, and even the media, and even in society, the way the unvaccinated were being treated. There were people that were wishing that we would die. There were people that were rejoicing and saying that it's okay for the government to fire us, that it was okay for us not to be allowed in restaurants or the movie theater. And there were people that even signed petitions. I know a few people that did like a mock petition and went outside and asked people here in New York if the unvaccinated should be put in concentration camps or detainment camps.
I think I remember
And people signed on that. So how do you feel about that? Because I feel like you're stuck in the middle of that. You're vaccinated, you have conservative, you're more of a conservative, but you never agree with the segregation and any of that. So what do you have to say about that when you witness that the unvaccinated were treated as second-class citizens?
Or
Yes,
second-class or
outcasts, correct.
outcast. And it was a terrible thing to actually witness. Also, I have my own daughter who lives in Virginia, and she went to her doctor and she says, well, can I have the vaccine? And he said, no, remember? He says, no, you have a certain medical condition that, precludes you. You can't. So she goes, all right. So even my own daughter is not vaxxed or unvaxxed. So when you have people in your family and your other friends who are unvaxxed, I just don't understand the discrimination. And that, to me, I'm an old school New Yorker, that's discrimination. If you can't say, well, you can't come in here because you don't have a shot. Excuse me? What is this, 19, no way. Or show me your papers. Show me your papers? Honey, this ain't Germany. No, I wasn't, this is discrimination. I didn't like it. And I went to one of your rallies. I said, absolutely no way, no mandates whatsoever. And I feel very strongly about this whole discrimination thing. And Mayor Eric Adams is talking about now, he says it may come around again. And I hope everybody out there, just please do not comply. If they get away with this, then it's really, it's almost like then the New York that I know, the real New Yorkers, it's like, no, We don't know. We don't discriminate against anyone. And if you're going to start this hate, then maybe you should just go back to wherever you came from. But real New Yorkers, nah. We used to ride the trains when I was working since 1969, and we went through N1H1, the avian flu. We went through all sorts of the swine flu. We went through. Good God, we went through Ebola, and no one told us to put on a mask, and that was a flesh-eating disease. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, we've been through everything. And when you've been through the New York City subway systems, and I know this is shout out to New York subway, you get us around, but at the same time, you are also it's a mixed pot. So I'm sorry, we're the strongest citizens around. We've been around each other for like decades. It's like what? They haven't made a virus who really could kill us at this point. I'm sorry. And now they want us to take this vaccine that's untested or still it's experimental stage. I don't like it. I just, no. And this discrimination thing, vaxxed and unvaxxed, and the separation trying to divide us, please stop it. This is New York City. It's just not right.
Talking about that, what do you think about the pandemic amnesty? There was a reporter, I think her name is Emily. I can't recall exactly. I think it's her name is Emily. She was also a professor. I don't recall the name of the university. She wrote an article about pandemic amnesty, right? Or let's forget about everything that happened. We didn't know. But yet her old tweets from 2021 suggest that she was saying that in order to get people to get vaccinated, that they should just say, well, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you can't travel. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you can't work. You can go to a restaurant, etc. So how can we move forward from something that we still are feeling the aftermath of all of that? A lot of us lost our jobs. We fought the discrimination. Some people's family member even stopped talking to one another and things of that nature, right? So do you think that the unvaccinated should just sit here and be like, okay, let's pretend that didn't happen? How do you think? What do you think is I guess the best way that the unvaxxed and vaccinated could like have that conversation? I don't know. Or
I'm not exactly sure how we could go forward from here because number one, they have to. Whoever had that much negative stuff to say about the unvaccinated really has to deal with them themselves. If you look at the VAERS reports and how many people were actually had effects from the shots, or people who lost loved ones like 1 or 2 days or 2 weeks after getting a shot, you have to understand something. And now you want to come back and still say you're not wrong. Well, I'm sorry. It's still a very untested vaccine, unless it's been, 3 years now? Has there been any more studies? And it was beginning with the first stages, like, animal studies and all that stuff like that. If there hasn't, that means it's still the same vaccine that's doing a lot of damage. So you want us to say, okay, everything is okay, but still you want us to keep getting boosters that's still going to, do more damage. I'm like, I don't think it could happen unless the party who are pretty much now with all the frontline doctors and Mr. Kennedy, with all the doctors that he's been on talking to and proving that this is a very, very dangerous shot. Unless you actually realize what's really going on and say maybe it's not ready.
right.
This vaccine is not ready. It's just not. And we should stop and go back to the drawing board. Unless you could say, like the vaxxed community who are having an issue with the unvaxxed community, hold it. We have X amount of deaths right now and X amount of injuries. We should stop this and just go back to the drawing board. That would probably be the first and the best way of getting us back together again.
Mara texted 2 times, but she's not outside, and that was 20 minutes ago.
Okay. I'm mad that you stopped me for that. Like I was looking at you like I knew what you were trying to tell me. Like okay.
Don't just continue.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Okay.
You're gonna have to do edit.
Okay. Because I was gonna ask her something, now I forgot. No, that's why I kind of went like that because I could see you from the corner of my eye.
No, because
Okay, just pass me the. Let me just take a look at it.
So I'm not sure if she's saying she's on her way.
I'm not sure if but really, I think that would be the best way. You have to come forth now.
Yeah,
With
she's
the amount
in
of
an
deaths
Uber.
and the amount
She
of
said
damage,
she's running
and
a
say
little
that you're
late.
sorry. Because
But thank you though. Like I know you didn't mean any harm, but
Then why do you want me to forget about everything else?
no, I peeped that. So when I went like that, it's because I could see you from the corner of my eye that you were showing me the phone.
Yeah, I was like, that was 20 minutes ago. What if she's here and she's
No, she no. Okay. So where did we leave off? You can edit that. It has happened with other people. What?
About how I said, their first step should be that they
Okay.
should say stop.
All right. So now
We
it's still
made a
recording, right?
mistake.
Yes.
Stop.
Okay.
We made a mistake. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that many people want an apology because of everything that happened, because of the discrimination. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I believe that apologies need to be sincere, and I don't think I should ask anybody to apologize, but I think like the government and health agencies should apologize. However, I personally believe that this was intentional, right? They knew exactly what they were doing. When we're talking about you're segregating people, you're letting the elderly die by themselves in nursing homes and not letting them see their family. We're letting patients, young and old, in hospitals without a family member to be there to even advocate for them. And then people are being fired from work, not allowed into restaurants or other places open to the public. Right. And then it actually brought issues amongst families because in your case, you are at a higher mental level than a lot of people. You're mature. You took the vaccine. You were never in support of the discrimination. However, in other families, mothers stop speaking to their children. Children stop speaking to their parents. Brothers and sisters, cousins, aunt, uncles, grandparents, right? Because of the fearful media tactic of making the unvaccinated people the scapegoat, the black sheeps, and blaming us for spreading a virus, so they say, or whatever the case might be. So some people want an apology. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like it should come from the heart. People were in fact deceived. They were lied. And you said yourself that you regret getting the vaccine. But now I want to get on this point that you're vaccinated, you're conservative. Not that that matters, but I'm bringing it to make a point. You also never supported any of this bull crap. And you told me that you never showed vaccine, like, you know how the restaurants were asking for that. Even though you were vaccinated,
Yep.
you said that you never.
Correct.
Why was that? Why didn't you feel the need
I
to
just-
show proof of vaccination?
Well, I felt the need not to because it was 1939 or 1940s Germany. And for me to go to my favorite restaurants and to have someone say, well, can I see your card? I'm like, no, you cannot see my card. I've been here. You know me. What's going on here? It's rude. It's invasive. They're invading your privacy. How about I say, how about you show me your card? And by the way, since this is a restaurant, let's see all your health information. You're handling my plate, my wine glass, my food, my food. I mean, you really want to get tit for tat? It's just invasive. I thought it was the wrong way to go. Quite frankly, they should have thought it out better. And they didn't. And that made a huge, fracture, like you said, a fracture between people, between family members, between friends, between coworkers and everything else like that. I know some people, I came from the hotel industry. And they just said, no, I'm not going to do this. And they had to leave a very, very good job. And, and then, of course, on the way out, people might be calling you names and goofing on it. That wasn't right. It's not called for. Why all this division? And you're right. There must be for some sort of a reason. And I think we all know what they're going towards. Mm-hmm. But they knew was a coronavirus. I believe, I'm not sure, please don't, let me be safe. In my opinion, a coronavirus illness is just a flu with a very strong pneumonia component. There, I said it. Mm-hmm. And people go, what? I'm going to go, why don't you look that up a little bit? And we could have all gone through it. I had I got COVID, I think 2 times, even with the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it all was just bad flu. And I'm like, my God, I took a shot for the flu. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But there's stuff or ingredients in that COVID mRNA shot that's not in our regular vaccine schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's
Right.
different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why a lot of people are getting vaccine damages and a lot of people have passed away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's talk about this topic because I'm like, I need to get this off my chest. So I noticed that in the medical freedom community, people sometimes have said some comments, right? Now, I'll admit that sometimes because I've been angry at the way that I have been treated by people in New York City and even outside of New York City. Like I experienced discrimination in Maryland with Curtis when I was trying to go inside a kosher Jewish restaurant. I was treated like a second-class citizen because Curtis and I were not wearing the mask. And it was really, really cold outside. And one of the staff members wanted us to stand outside while we ordered our food because as per her thoughts, we were spreading the virus or whatever, even though Curtis and I were not sick, right? So I noticed that in the medical freedom community, people are upset. They're tired of being treated like crap. So they do say things like, oh, the unvaccinated, let me correct myself, the vaccinated or whatever, they're going to die in 2 years. They only have 5 years to live and all these things. Now, I have said when I've been angry that, oh, well, you can't detox that shit, right? But at the same time, I don't wish any harm on anybody because first and foremost, vaccine or no vaccine, I'm going to die one day. There's no controlling that at all, right?
Correct.
We don't know what,
Correct.
I know the time that I was born, but I don't know the time that I'm going to die. So I don't see the point of wishing ill or harm on nobody in that way, right?
Correct.
Number 2, my parents are vaccinated and I know a lot of other people that are vaccinated. I don't want my parents to get sick. I don't care what relationship I have with my parents or whatever the case might be. I don't care the fact that they were deceived and they took that. I don't want anything to happen to them because of that vaccine, right? So here you are. You are vaccinated. You never agreed with the segregation. You never show your vaccine card to go to places that were open to the public because you felt like that was they were overstepping boundaries and invading your privacy. You have gone to the protests and you have to sit there sometimes when a lot of the people give speech saying that the vaccinated are going to start dying off. They're not going to last. So how does that make you feel? Because you're even on my Instagram page and sometimes I see people making those comments and I seen you comment. So how does that make you feel? Because I think, honestly, I don't think that's nice. And even myself, when I said, well, you can detox that shit, I end up thinking about it and I kind of feel like, oh, like, okay. So a lot of the vaccinated were saying nasty things to me. And in some way, I feel that people are kind of justified for being angry because we're being discriminated against and there's righteous anger. But then there's also innocent people like yourself that are caught in the middle of this bullcrap. You have nothing to do with that, even if you took it. So how do you feel about that? Like, how does that make you feel? Like, honestly, because I don't know, I feel like we need to talk about it because you're a vaccinated ally.
You mean like how do I feel about the situation that I am vaccinated?
About the comments that
and the
people
comments
make.
that
Yeah.
people make? My best thing is it's an old saying. When you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because you can hurt someone's feelings. And, they might say something negative about an unvaccinated person. And it bothers me. Why? Because I have unvaccinated family and friends. They may say, or maybe someone unvaccinated might say something, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I, like, please, that's not it's not called for. It doesn't have to be that way. If anything, you're just adding more fire to the fuel. Please stop. This is what they want. They want us fighting. They want us angry at each other. Don't give it to them. Don't let these people push your buttons. And that's what they're trying to do. So with all this stuff that, you want to like, if you think that because I'm hanging around with someone, I must be unvaccinated too. And then you want to say something to me, I'm like, well, that's it. I just can't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I'm too blessed to be stressed. And you know that. I'm a very, very spiritual person. I try not to let a lot of this stuff bother me. I come in once in a blue moon. I have to comment on the keyboard. I get maybe a little too wordy, but I feel strongly about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no need to add fuel to the fire. Right now, there's so much going on right now in the world with unvaccinated, vaccinated. You could get a job, you can't get a job, or you could come back to your job. Well, now you have to reapply, or oh, you're unvaccinated. I'm going to call you a name. Why? What was all this stress for? Stop it. We're just trying to go by what the upper echelon is asking us to do, and meanwhile, we're getting a very, very good sense that maybe we shouldn't be doing what they're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have to get together and realize we should fight each other. Because in the end, and quite frankly, we don't know where this is going, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know where this is going. It might get even worse. And then at that point, you better hope you have friends everywhere and anywhere. Because you just don't know how this thing is going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't,
Right.
You?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can say that I suspect some of the things that they're going to do, but I can't 100% say that this is going to happen for a fact because I don't, I'm not inside their secret circles or whatever the case.
We're not privy.
Right. So there's that. But also, let me ask you, so what's your final message to the world regarding everything that has happened in New York City? And yeah, because we had it hard.
Yeah.
The propaganda was insane. The division was good, though.
The propaganda was very strong here in New York. I remember one of our friends tearing down the posters in the New York City subways because it was. I
did that too.
It was just outrageous. It was so in your face. It was just, and you get that very, very strong, heavy feeling of like, oh my God, someone's trying to brainwash me. This propaganda is so strong. It's like, stop. We're all mature. We're all New Yorkers. So if anything, mature and then savvy, we're street smart. You don't have to tell us a million times. When you just say it once, I got it. Yeah, don't worry about it. And I'll either take your advice or I won't. We're street smart New Yorkers. We can't let whatever's going up on top divide us any further. We don't know what's going on down the line. And quite frankly, we all have to come together. Just like we did prior to 2020, everybody was cool with each other. Were we the same? No.
Mm-hmm.
But we were all cool with each other, right? So that's what we have to get back to. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right, Patricia, oh my God, thank you so much. And I sincerely hope that the viewers can sit back and seriously self-reflect on your words, because I think that some people need to take a look at themselves. All of us do, actually, myself included, and see what we can learn from Patricia, who vaccinated. She stood up for the unvaccinated. And yeah, for the unvaccinated, not every vaccinated person is your enemy. Granted, I understand the anger and the frustration, but let's just be mindful on how we navigate this whole divide and conquer strategy. So thank you so much, Patricia, for being here.
You're welcome.